in the construction. So construction basically is the process of creating building infrastructure or facility. And construction as an industry, if you go to developed country, you will see that 6 to 9% of the GDP is in the this thing construction. So we have to also put efforts to put a good chunk of GDP in the construction. And I will show you one data that. So you see, this is the picture in every city. You will see now high-rise buildings are coming up, lifts are there, cranes are there, and construction is going on. And large-scale construction is not possible only by the civil engineers. Now you need a mechanical engineer with firefighting and other lifts. Other will be required. Then you need electronics engineer. So this is a multitasking work now. It is not only restricted to one branch of engineering, but computer engineer also. So you need so many people involved in a big project. Okay, so now this is a multidisciplinary approach that we are going to adopt in construction. And you see this type of things are going on. Everywhere you will see in every city that enforcement and some building is being constructed. Maybe in your neighborhood, some building is being constructed. So this is the big challenge. This type of scenario is everywhere prevalent, either Varanasi or Bhopal. And this is a data which is older data, but it shows that India is having the highest number of the construction project, which is more than even China and USA. Because in our country, infrastructure development has not been done for a long time. So now we are trying to make up, and that's why we have the 824 US dollar billion US dollar projects in our country, and this is a very big challenge. So am I audible? There is. Are you able to hear me,
Yes, sir.
Vikas? Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. If you have any problem, please let me know.
Sure, sir.
So there are following phases of construction, planning, design, and execution. So if you want to know the quality, then in each phase, planning phase, without planning, suppose you have not planned a building and you are making a construction without making a plan, then building is not going to survive an earthquake. Because the first part of earthquake resistant building is good planning. If you make a unplanned building which have a different shape and which is prone to earthquake, by whatever material you add in this, you are not going to make it safe from the earthquake point of view. So planning is very much important, and planning is important in every part of our life. I think that I should say that without planning, don't do anything, because otherwise you have to this repent it. You have to go back. So don't, without planning, I think we should not do anything. Like in the building also. Then come the design application of modern software tools now is there. One must have, like if you are civil engineer, you are BTech student, you must have the knowledge of STAT, ETAP, SAP. So these are the software, because nowadays those moment distribution, slope deflection or Carnage method, they are not being used. We teach them in the classes, but when it comes to the design part, we go into the software only. So we should know the language of the software, and that's why I will request all the students that they should have some training on this. In IIT, we have a 2 semester project where we give this training to exploratory project and UG project, where we give them software based training, and they have to analyze these softwares. So this is part of our curriculum, and I think you should also take advantage, because any design when it comes, it will be only on the software. Now execution is also very much important. So these are the construction phases, and now building material. Without material, you cannot make anything. So material makes your reality, makes your dream into reality. So what are the building materials nowadays? You see that materials are requirement are very stringent. You want a material which has a strength at low and high temperature. So if you have a temperature -degree and you have a very high temperature in summer, so your material should sustain that. Previously, it was not required, but nowadays you see that we have some materials there to sustain huge variation in temperature. Resistant to the ordinary water and sea water. If you are making coastal area, then there is salinity in the water, and you have to make a resistant to that. And otherwise, durability will be hampered, and building will deteriorate. Then alkali and acid. Nowadays, you see that a lot of acids are there in the environment. And today is the World Environment Day also, so I should congratulate all of you that let us save our environment and do something, so that as an engineer, it is our responsibility to save our environment as well. So alkali and acid is the pollution which is coming into the form of acid rain and all those things. So we should also select the material which are resistant to that. And material for interior decoration, now you see that interior decoration is taking a big role, and many times this cost of interior decoration is more than the cost of building itself. So you have to choose the material which is which have long life and which give the good quality. So these are the characteristics by which you have to select your material, and this is the judicious selection by a civil engineer. So these are the materials which what we commonly use. And today this is a very preliminary lecture. So in this I am just going to talk about some very simple tests what we should perform on these materials so that you can know what is their quality. Because I am going on many sites here in UP, and I see that they don't do the basic testing of the materials. And that's why if you make a full building without doing any test, then after 5 years deterioration takes place. Cracks are coming. Now the people ask that what is the use of civil engineer when building is not having a life of 5 and 10 years? Even mason can do that. So now this is a question mark for our engineering education. So that's why I request all of you that at least you ascertain, like in stone, I will tell you that you just have to make 2 and 3 tests. If you just do 2 tests, you can improve the quality of the stone. But we are not even bothering about the 2 tests. So what are those things? And if you see the history of material, you see that man has been using material since 8000 BC. And before that, it was Stone Age, Mud Age, and then came the sun-dried brick, and burnt clay brick came 4000 when the fire was discovered 4000 BC, and then came your lime for binding material, which is now replaced totally by the cement. Then glasses came, and then you see aluminum, and after that the last iron products they started being used in 1350 BC. So you see that quite old material, and nowadays composite materials are now very much used, and cement is also a very latest material, you can say. It is 150 years back it was invented in England. So this is the very good type of binding material, and in market you can see that there are 20 30 type of cement available for different applications. Now which cement you will use for which application, that knowledge has to be there. Because if you are having some low heat type of work and you are using high heat of cement, it is going to make a crack. So for dams, which cement you will use, for building, which cement you will use, so that's why we must know the quality of the material. And if you are having some low heat type of work and you are using high heat cement, then it is going to make a crack. So that's why we must know the quality of the material. And difficult, very costly. Transportation is very costly, so we don't use it. But sometimes cladding and purpose we make stone. Our inner part your brick and outer part we make stone, make it massive structure. But if you are using stone for your application, then what are the tests you have to do is that you just simply do 2 tests: strength and durability. So you know that the stone is having very high strength, and sometimes strength can be as high as steel itself. So the compressive strength of the stone, like granite, or you are using some sandstone or any type of stone, then we must do the cube test in the lab. Suppose somebody is giving you very low strength and saying it is granite. How will you know that it is granite or not? Just by color, you cannot say it is granite. So this will come from the strength. So you must do the strength testing in the lab. And many times I've seen people become very complacent, and whatever the supplier is giving, they believe in this and they don't do any engineering judgment. Second test is your durability. So you know that durability stone must absorb very less amount of water. It should not exceed 5%. And if it is soaking more water, then it is not durable. So you have to discard that stone for building construction purpose. So the code has given this test data that for granite, the strength should be 100 MPa, should not be less than 100 MPa. So similarly, sandstone 30 MPa, marble, if somebody is giving you marble, you test it and strength should not be less than 50 MPa. So these tests are must. And as I said that water absorption should be less than 5%. So this is the 2 simple tests if you perform on your stone, you are going to enhance the durability of your building. But we are not even bothering about these 2 tests many a time. Now comes the second material, which is brick. Bricks are nowadays being only used for the partition wall. We are not making any load-bearing structure, especially in villages people are making, but in city area we are making frame structure where bricks role is only partition. So what are the tests that you have to perform on the bricks? And many times you must be showing that you must be knowing that this there are white patches in the bricks, and how to ascertain. So these are the dimension tests, that in this sample how much bricks you will select. And then I will just give you the test, this simple test, that you have to classify the brick, and there are the classes that you have up to 35 class of brick. We make the selection. This is the building bricks where strength has to be up to 35 MPa, and this test you have to perform in the lab. And this is the dimensional test, that how what should be the dimension of 20 bricks when you add. So this is the way you lay the brick, and one by one, and you test the combined length of 20 brick, and then divide by 20 and see what is the average. So plus minus is given in the code. So it should not be warpage, and there should not be any bending, all those things. So I think this test has to perform. Now compressive strength test, this will give you the class. Water absorption, very much important. If brick is soaking more water, then you know that there will be damping in the building all the time, and then this can be asthmatic problem, and so many diseases may be there because fungus and bacteria will develop in there. So in this way, water absorption should never be more than 15% for first class brick, and for second class brick it can be up to 20%. So if it is soaking more, then it is a problem and you have to remove it. Now one test is called efflorescence test. Many times there are white patches in the bricks because of the alkali available in the soil. So you have to remove immediately, otherwise no plaster will stick on this, and your building is going to be always having damping over there, and unclean and picture unclean scenes will be there, which is not desirable. So these are the codes what are dealing with the bricks. IS codes are there, many codes are there. I'm just giving the list, so this can be used. Now other material, your cement, and cement you see that we use this binding material. This is mostly used. Now lime is not used, and this was invented 150 years back. So what are the tests we require? You see, this is the way cement this is stacked, and this person who are dealing with cement, you see they are not having any mask, and you see this is a very fine thing, but people are not bothered about the health and safety. So this is again a problem for us. And this is the chemical composition. Many times we have to do the chemical composition, whether cement is adulterated cement or it is pure cement, you will not know. And these are the properties by which we are making cement. So one test your specific gravity, that it should have more than 3.15. If it is less, then it means that there is some fly ash addition or something, and you have to reject it. So you don't know whether it is a pure cement or adulterated cement. So many times people do the cheating, and they supply bad cement and they take full money. So if you have this test, then you can come to know. Other test, your fineness test, that it should have some fineness test. By sieve analysis, you can in 1 minute you can come to know that what is my fineness. Then comes your soundness test. Soundness test, it should not expand much, it should not contract much, otherwise durability will be hampered. So for this, simple tests are there. Other tests, your setting time. So both initial and final setting time has to be tested. Many times cement doesn't set because they have adulterated by fly ash. So it is not setting, and when you remove the prop, whole slab is coming down. So this is the problem of setting time. So this has to be tested. Compressive strength, whether it is 33 grade, 43 grade, or PPC, which grade of cement is there, you have to do the compressive strength. I think in UG classes you must have done this. So 28 day strength must be 33 MPa. So these are the things we have to perform, and these are the equipments. I think you know all these things what we have used in our labs. Now, one of the big problem is your aggregate. You know that in concrete, 70% is your coarse and fine aggregate, but we never do a testing in a proper way. So sieve analysis is must for this, and by sieve analysis you will know the gradation. Because if there is not full gradation, then there will be voids, and there will be water absorption, acid ingress in the concrete, and it is going to reduce the strength of the concrete. So that's why this there are many times deleterious material. Coal is there, clay is there, soil is there, but people don't remove it. So this has to be removed because aggregate give the strength. Cement's role is only binding. Cement doesn't give any strength. The strength is given by the aggregates. So So they has to perfectly graded, so that there is no full packing is there. There is no wire available in the for the moisture to ingress. So these are the tests that we do. Aggregate abrasion test. If you are going for road construction, then you have to do abrasion test. Similarly, you have to do the soundness test. And for the fine aggregate, you know that we should use the zone 2 this thing sand, but many times people are using finer sand, which is zone 4 or zone 3. That is not desirable. Otherwise, you have to compensate by the proper cement. So if you are not using proper material in the concrete, you should not expect for the proper strength. So if your input is bad, then output will is bound to be bad. So that's why concrete is a composite material which you produce at the site. So you have to take full precaution in that. So these are the aggregate tests. I think zone 2, you all know that this is the gradation, that how much we take the sieve and we know how much percentage passing should be there. So this has to be certain at the site. So now if you have all in aggregate, so this is where all the aggregates are there. This is the size available there. And this is the concrete because we do a lot of concrete. It is used more than the water. People have been using concrete more than water in their lives. So this is more than food. After water, this is the second material what we do. Sorry, this is the second material after water. So what are the tests we do? We do the workability test by slum. That has to be certain at the time of construction. You must know what is your slum. Then what we do that this is the slum test. And proportioning, mixing, placing, compaction, these are the 5 elements of your concrete making. And in each part you should have the quality. So these are the various tests that we do. We can do the compression test by cylinder, or what you can do by the cube. So this has to be certain. And tensile strength is very much important. We should do by split tensile test. And then we do the flexure test, by rupture test, by bending. So in this way, you will come to know what is the tensile strength of your concrete. And many times you can do NDT test. NDT without doing any destruction on this sample. So these are the very simple tests, and they are cost effective also. So you can ascertain various property like marvelous and density, strength, crack, all these things without doing any degradation. So these are the equipment: rebound hammer, UPV, and core cover meter. So in this way, we can do the testing, and see these are the rebound hammer. I think this you know that by a rebound hammer you can do know the strength of the concrete just by making a rebound on this. So these are the very simple tests in laboratory, and we go at this site, do the rebound hammer. So these are the factors what affect cement, aggregate, all these things they affect the. And this is the mechanism. There is a lever and there is a spring by which you can come to know what is the rebound, and then this data is converted into your strength. So these are the very cost effective things what we can do. Let us take advantage. Like doctor, they are taking advantage of tests. Similarly, we should also make the use of this test. This is pulse velocity. This is called the ultrasound of the concrete, and by which we know what is the porosity level in the this. So just by sending waves, sound wave in the concrete, you will come to know that what is the travel time. So if travel time is very less, it means it is a compact concrete, and this is a very good quality. Time is more than it is a poor concrete. So in this way, you will come to know whether pores or cracks are there, and you can remove it. So in this way, these tests must be, we should adapt to the new things. And this is the velocity. If it is for the 4.5 kilometer per second, then it is excellent. And below 3, it is doubtful concrete. And then we can go for the repair and retrofitting type of things. So these are very simple things I am telling. I am not taking any hi-fi research to you. And similarly, rebar locator and cover meter, by which you can know that what is the diameter of the bar and what is the cover. Many times you don't provide the proper cover, and in this way, your concrete, your corrosion takes place. So you have to locate it by these equipments. So rebar cover meter is there, and this is again a CAPO test where you perform the CAPO test to know the strength of the concrete. Very advanced test, but it is quite costly. So that's why we take only few samples of this. So this is the, I think if you want to know, literature are available on the net, so you can get it. So in this way, these are the samples, and this is the cut and pull out. Many times we do the core test also. Then the roads and other construction, we take a core and we test it. So in this way, various tests are there, and these are the core tests. Corrosion is also very much important. If there is a ingress of moisture, corrosion will take place, and this will destroy your building. If it is not alkaline, if it has become acidic, corrosion is bound to take place. So just by measuring the pH, you will come to know that how much corrosion has taken place. So this is the simple reminder to you that these tests must be performed. And now I am coming to my conclusion that construction of engineered houses plays very much important role. And due to high aspiration of modern society, massive complex structure are coming, and we must ensure the good quality material. And then only your construction will be of good quality. So knowledge of modern material, loading condition analysis and design tool is must for durability. So with this information,